Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode number 60 of the Project 2020 show. And I cannot believe it's already the end of week number 18. And what a week it has become. We had Mike Trout, Ricky Henderson, Nolan Ryan, Ichiro. And now on this Friday, we have Gregory Siff releasing his Frank Thomas and Efdot releasing his Cal Ripken Jr. Just an all-star week with top-selling players and top-selling artists. But we got a lot to get to today. We got the market update, we got pre-orders, print runs, all that good stuff in one quick second. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, otherwise known as @CRT Sportscards on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want the best website for all your Project 2020 news and stats, go to CRTSportscards.com, go to the menu, drop down to Project 2020, and there's everything you need right there. But hey, it's Friday morning. What have we learned so far this week? Actually, quite a bit compared to a couple of days ago. We have now seen the print runs for the Mike Trout Natural and the Ricky Henderson Ermsey, and I'm very thankful, as I talked about yesterday, those cards came out of the oven in my print run range. They're the right temperature. The Mike Trout 11.6 thousand and then Ricky Henderson 6.6 thousand. The key here, and the reason why they ended on the bottom of my range, I was very confident, by the way, on Mike Trout, starting with a 12. I was really confident that it was going to be at 12,100, 200, 11.6, and look at Ricky Henderson, 6.6, just over the range of 6.5. The eBay penetration on both of these cards, both over 2%, 2.02 and 2.05 respectively. It was very surprising from the eBay penetration perspective, but I think it tells a larger story here. People are now settling in to their favorite artists and their players. I really think the experimenting is over with when it comes to, I think I'm going to buy this player, I think I'm going to buy this artist. A lot of it right now is set in stone as far as if this player has sold this many, it's not going to sell this many based on the current market trend. So very, very happy to see Mike Trout come in under 12,000 and then Ricky Henderson be over 6,500. But now as we clear away our plates of the Mike Trout and the Ricky Williams, what is next up for us? This is the Blake Jameson, Ichiro, and the Ben Baller, Don Mattingly. Two very difficult cards to project based on all of the outside unknown factors that go into the baking really of their print run numbers. And when you think of the Blake Jameson, Ichiro, taking them one by one here, I had a target pre-order total after 48 hours of 70. It came in at 77, so +7 over what I expected. Not that big of a deal. It's not going to have that much of a ripple effect on my print run range. I'm sticking with 6.5 to 8, but not 8.1. I think this card is solidly in the 7 range when you factor in where he came in with his Willie Mays, when you factor in how many cards Blake is going to buy for potential autographs, and just the fan base of Blake Jameson. There's no other artist out there on social media doing live streams every single night like there is with Blake Jameson. So I really like this card, 6.5 to 8, but not 8.1. I feel very confident with this card starting with a 7. Now taking a look at the Don Mattingly by Ben Baller. I had a target pre-order total after 40 hours of 110, and he came in at 116, so +6 over. Again, very nice. The last 2 days, I just undershot by 6 or 7 reservations, so good to see that the 40-hour totals are still sort of basically within the same range as where they're coming in. But of course, the pre-orders on this card do not tell the entire story. But I am leaving my print run range from 10.25 thousand to 12.99. That is a massive gap, and I get it. I typically like to have my ranges only to be 1,000, but sometimes on these artists that have, the extra things built into their ranges, I make them a little bigger. And on this Mattingly, based on Mariano Rivera, based on eBay penetration, based on Ben Baller's fan base, I like this card in the 12,000 range. But I could even see this card getting as low as like 11.5, 11.4. So if I really had to narrow this up right now and say, okay, give me 1,000 range, Chris, I like this 11.5 to 12.5 range. But we're going to find out. Then again, these cards are so hard to project. But if I get this right, it'll be just amazing. So hang tight. We're going to find out where these cards land in just a couple of hours. And now shifting our focus over to the cards that were released today. And I think I've painted myself into a corner. Actually, I know I've painted myself into a corner here. Typically on a release day, I can pick out the card I like the most within about 30 seconds. And it's very obvious, like yesterday, even though I'm a grotesque fan, I liked the JK5 Jeter over the grotesque Ted Williams. But on these two cards, I'm having a very difficult time picking out one or the other, but it came down to one simple reason, and then we'll talk about that here in a second. But coming in number 2 today, but it's actually more like 1B, is the Cal Ripken by Efdot. But there are a couple of fantastic things on the card, from the 2131 on the iron, which is his bat, to the deconstructed bird, to the Maryland on the bottom right of the card. There are so many great things in this card, and it's another great card from Efdot. But let's take a quick look at Efdot in Project 2020 so far, and then take a look at Cal Ripken. Now this is Efdot's 9th card in the set. We saw him most recently with the Derek Jeter, and then before that, the Moment card, the Dwight Gooden with the mask. His highest printed card is Tony Gwynn, Mr. Padre, at 31,030, and then his lowest printed card is the stained glass Mark McGwire, 1,456. And then on Cal Ripken, this is Cal Ripken's 9th card in the set also. We saw him recently with the Old Man Allen, and then before that with the Matt Taylor. On a print run scale, his Don C, the Iron Man card, has 41,362 printed, and then his lowest card is Fucci at just 1,205. And then when you ask Chris, what are your favorite Cal Ripken and Efdot cards? And before I give you mine, I would love to hear yours in the comments below. But on the Cal Ripken, it's very simple. It is the Fucci. I am starting to like Fucci more and more every single day. And I really like the Ted Williams I got in yesterday. I'm not going to go back and pick up all of Fucci's cards, but I really, really like this Cal Ripken. And then on Efdot, it's 1A and 1B. It's 1B for Jackie Robinson. You guys know my affection for Jackie, and it's one of only 2 players I'm putting together in this set. And then 1A for Efdot is the Dwight Gooden card, and it's the mask card. And I'm going to say this for these next 11 releases. This is a moment card, and when we look back on this set in 10, 15, 20, 30, even 50 years from now, maybe even 100 years from now, when we're all gone from this world, people can look back at this card and go, we know when it was printed and why it was printed. And that is what makes this set and this card such a historic set. It's Project 2020 for a reason, and this card is a moment card for the entire run of the set. Hopefully you're liking this video so far, and if you are and you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, because this channel is your best resource for all of your news and notes around Project 2020, because I deliver you a video to your inbox 6 out of the 7 days of the week. But now let's take a look at the market, and let's see where the market has been for the past couple of days. And I have not talked about this in a couple of shows. I wanted to cover other topics, but hopefully when I don't cover the first player or second player or Forgotten 7, you're checking the website out, because I still am updating the website with those numbers every single day, so keep checking on there. But there were some interesting moves in the market, and I think we've got to be aware of the time frame we're in. This is the most difficult time, in my opinion, of this set, from July 6th through the end of August. But there's another reason why I think the market could see a drop here in the next couple of weeks. But let's take a look at first player, second player, and the Forgotten 7 real quick. So taking a look here at first player pricing, you're going to notice quickly a lot of red. But then again, it's not significant red other than a couple of players. Now when you look at card number 2, Sandy Koufax, somebody has sold 3 copies of that card at $275. I have not done much research into it, but I don't know why that card was being sold for so cheap over a couple of days. I kind of wish I would have picked one up, because that's a very short printed card, under $300. But you've got Mike Trout, look, he's only down 0.01%, and yesterday he was at $750. And then taking a look at second player pricing, here again, a ton of red, but it's very minimal red. It's down 1%, down 2%, down 5%. We should see those fluctuations in the market. You know, one day it's going to be down 6, next day it's going to be +8 or +4. So I don't get too concerned with these numbers being down, because they're not down 15, 20, 30%. And now looking at my favorite group, the Forgotten 7, again here, more dropping down. And the thing to keep in mind here is the drop down is more significant in this group, because look at the surge that happened over the past couple of weeks since I started talking about these cards. They are kind of leveling out a little bit, but look at George Brett, still up there, 145, up 8% yesterday. Willie Mays up to 180, and then Dwight Gooden and Ermsey dropped down a little bit to 190 yesterday. But for the most part, these cards are still significantly up from where they were 2 weeks ago, and that's good to see, because these cards were undervalued. And so you've now taken a look at all the numbers. We've seen the numbers kind of fluctuate, positive, up and down, but for the most part, we're still kind of treading water. But here's where it could get rocky. And I am not an economist, and I'm not a politician. I'm just sort of relaying the facts here of what's happening. This is the last week of the stimulus package for Americans who are on unemployment or half employed, shared work programs, all that good stuff. If there is not a new program, passed rather quickly, a lot of Americans are going to have less money to spend. So when you think of Project 2020, you think of sports cards, you think of how it's being propped up right now. Yes, there are a lot of Americans working, but there are a lot of people not working also right now. So that change in the program, if nothing is enacted going forward, that could change the landscape of the set. Who knows? We'll find out. But that's something to keep in mind when you think of the big picture of the set versus the small granular every single day releases. Do we see cards come down 10-15% because maybe there's a loss of revenue or a loss of money to spend on the back end? But we're going to find out. Who knows? Like I said, I'm not an economist or a politician. I just know what's happening at the end of this week. But now let's take a look at my favorite card today, and it is this Gregory Siff by Frank Thomas. And the reason why it is my favorite card of the pairing, it's because of the perceived texture of the card. I do not know if an actual painting of this card exists. We got to see Gregory Siff's process with the Maguire card where he had it actually painted and then he moved to digital. So I don't know if this card in its textured form exists, but if it does, I would absolutely love to own it. I'll never own it. Gregory Siff is uber famous. He's on $1 million listing this past week, so I will never see this card. But if there was a version of it, I think it'd be absolutely fantastic to own, and that is why I picked Frank Thomas over the Cal Ripken. But now let's take a look at Gregory Siff so far in Project 2020, and then Frank Thomas. This is Gregory Siff's 9th card in Project 2020. We saw him most recently with the unbelievable Big Mac Mark Maguire, and then before that, Tony Gwynn. And you can see his cards since the first 5 have really changed, so it's been great to see the evolution of this artist also in Project 2020. But on a print run perspective, his Derek Jeter is the greatest at 48,465, and then his lowest is George Brett at just 1,227. Now taking a look at Frank Thomas, this is his 9th card. We saw him most recently with the Tyson Beck and then the Keith Shore with the first no name on front variation. But from a print run perspective, we have his Fucci design at 22,911, and his lowest printed card is that Rochester at 1,480. And now when it comes to my favorite Gregory Siff and Frank Thomas cards, on the Frank Thomas, no surprise here, it is the Natural. But this Gregory Siff card is a very close second, but I'm still going with my default second favorite artist with Natural. And then on the Gregory Siff, how can anyone top a burger card? He put a burger on a baseball card. It is fantastic, and that is why Mark Maguire, until he tops it with maybe a taco or something else, I'm going with the Mark Maguire burger card for a Gregory Siff. And now before we talk about the pre-order totals from yesterday and where I think the JK5 card is going to land tomorrow, I did want to do a collector's showcase, and this comes to us from the great country of Canada. T.Steves71 emailed me this, and it is a fantastic collection. Not only do we have Ted Williams up top, we've got Roberto, Willie Mays from JK5, we've got the Trouts, he has an Ermsey, and then we have an Andrew Thiel collection. So a lot of great pieces here, and if you would like to have your collection showcased on the show, please send me a photo to either my email, chris@crtsportscards.com, or reach out to me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Now taking a look at the cards from Thursday, the JK5 Jeter and the Ted Williams by Grotesque. Where do they come in after 24 hours, and where do I think their print run is going to land this time tomorrow morning? On the Ted Williams, 34 pre-orders, so a little higher than I thought. I thought we could see this in the 20s, but there was some good pickup here, 34 pre-orders. So I have a target after 48 hours of 55 reserves on eBay, which puts his range at 3.2 to 3.99. And here's why I'm not putting a range under 3,000, where I could easily see this card coming in under 3,000. Because when you think back to the beginning of the show, the eBay penetrations of the Mike Trout and the Ricky Henderson were both over 2%. If this card comes in at a 2% eBay penetration, it's going to fall under 3,000. But I think right now there are too many collectors out there in the set just buying these cards for a card to get under 3,000. So I think if I put a range out there under 3,000, it'd be irresponsible. But I also don't see this card being under the Rochester from this past weekend. But I like right now 3.2 to 3.99. I can't see this card getting over 4,000. And then the trickiest print run here to judge and to project is going to be this JK5 Jeter, just because we had an Efdot Jeter a few weeks ago with the giveaway. Now, while it wasn't a typical giveaway of an autograph or a necklace, it was a giveaway directly for the artist, which is really, really cool. So on this Derek Jeter, after 24 hours, he had 72 pre-orders, and so that means I'm putting my target after 48 hours at 110 pre-orders. But that means his range from a print run perspective is 7 to 8,000, but not 8.1. The Derek Jeter by Efdot did 8.4K. I don't think we get there with this card just because of the lack of giveaways, but I don't think it's too dramatic. I think even with Jeter, even with New York, this card gets up there. I just can't see it beating the Efdot card, but we'll find out. Hopefully I am 5 for 6 going into these releases, but we will see how JK5 and Ted Williams do this time tomorrow morning. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want more news and notes from me around Project 2020, please check out that playlist on the screen right now.